Welcome everyone to Leaves, which is a visual novel. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. PK, you are saying that Seiyuu no Uta did not... Okay. You're saying that Seiyuu no Uta did not look like a horror game right away. Right from the get-go, we saw a giant tentacle monster, walls lined with gore, and the monsters are going... How does that not look like a horror game, PK? You tell me. Okay. But anyways, though, we're going straight into this. I was going to say, though, we're going to new game of magic. I'm going to say, it's written somewhere that time heals all things. A man much wiser than me wrote those words, no doubt. If there's any truth in them, it isn't up to me to find. I have enough trouble finding my way in a world like this. Why should one hand clapping have a sound? And why must one tree falling have to beg its audience for a sound? Any sound will do to call its own. I'm gonna take a drink of water before I start this. I don't know about any of that. I also see a wall over there, one of the white borders. I'm going to eliminate that. It's written somewhere that time heals all things. Oh wait, I already read that. So let me tell you of what I do know. Of things that happen and things that don't. Of voices too young to be burdened yet with the gigantic weight of sex and frustrated longing. Of laughter tinkling like the hands of the rain before twilight's curtain call. Of morning to evening to morning again. Yai. It was the beginning of autumn. The days were still long. Long-ass days around here. The park was still awash in the trailing skirt of summer heat. There were 3 of us, 2 girls and a boy. We'd spent the entire day there already, playing in the sandbox. 3, an odd number. Lonely. 3 little people, playing their little games in a little walled garden of sand. I don't think 3 is a lonely number. I think 3 is kind of a perfect number, but whatever. There were other children playing on the swings and jungle gyms. No, used to be. Other children had parents who called them home. Other children had a curfew. We had curfews too. We simply chose to stay in that sandbox with each other. We simply chose to ignore the grown-ups in their world of rules and laws. Okay. Oh boy. I don't know who this character is. It'll be like this. Come on, Toga. No fair, no fair. I'm not gonna be a girl. And then there's a... Shut up! Shut up, you big...
Shut up, you big baby. Everything's fine and dandy, fair and square. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Shh. Fair, square? No way, no way! Liar!
I called it, Tomohiro, you dimwit. Now you quit your belly aching.
I don't care. That's still no fair. Yeah, I was such a wuss back then. Oh, actually, I think I have the voices in reverse right now. Yeah, oh, I got voices all... okay. Yeah, I was such a wuss back then. She used to just walk right on over me. She was holding a plastic doll of a handsome man in one of her hands. She shook that in my face with her other hand pointed at the Barbie doll that I was holding. Okay, this is her. Actually, time for voice changes to make them more appropriate. Hopefully. By more appropriate, I mean this still isn't exactly fitting, but you know, it's better than what we have in place right now. Just so I don't peak so much, I'm going to change it so yeah, there we go. That might be a little bit better audio-wise.
I'm Ken. You hear? You big crybaby Tomohiro? Go on, wuss. Cry for your mama now. Or if you want to be cool like me, then shut up and play.
I took a step back at her outburst. I'm no freaking crybaby. Why do you have to be this way, Tokyo? You big meanie? You bully? Now let's see if Does this change my volume at all? No, it doesn't seem to change my volume at all. That's unfortunate. But this should change my volume some so I can put it at the right volume for you guys. There we go. See, I can change the level right here.
Ha ha ha! Bully, you say? Stop trying to make yourself feel better, you big baby! I saw you bawling your eyes out when Takashi started making fun of you a while back. You can't even defend yourself and you call yourself a man?
Well, okay then.
Hey, stop it. You know it's not like that.
Not like what, sissy? Now you're making me laugh. You don't think I saw it all, moron? All shaking and teary-eyed? You can't fool me, crybaby.
Look, really, it's not like that. My eyes were, right? They were just itchy. I had sand in my eyes.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Look, I swear.
The second girl had said a thing the whole entire time. She just stood there up until now, pretty as ice in her white dress. She took a tiny step forward. When her foot touched the sand again, nothing had changed. They were still arguing. The sandbox was still the same rude, broken down affair. But she stood apart. She was... Correct, my mic somehow cut out, and I don't know how. But she was somewhere far over our heads. That much was clear, even then.
Look, I'm not gonna be a Barbie. I'm not a girl. Come on.
Mike, yeah, it is pronounced Mike. I say Mick, though. It's a habit.
Shut up and play. You're Barbie, I'm Ken, and that's final.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Be the Barbie, bitch.
Okay.
No way, it's not.
Yes, way it is.
No way, it's not. No way, it's not. No way, it's not. Times a million.
Yes, way it is. Yes, way it is. Yes, way it is. Times a million, billion, gajillion.
What? What'd you say? Times a million, billion, gajillion? That's so messed up. You're wrong, Toka. That number is fake. It doesn't exist.
Quit being such a dummy. You know the number's real. A million, billion, gajillion. There, I said it.
And it doesn't exist. You're lying, Tokia. Or you're monumentally stupid. Which one is it? You don't know anything.
The girl clad in white took another step towards the two of us as we argued. There was a little bit more urgency in her footfall at this moment. Still, she remained silent. Her feet were the same as ours, grimy, sprinkled with sand. But above that, from her ankle to her knees, from her knees to her thighs, as they disappeared up her skirt, pure and pale, almost painfully so, as alabaster.
Oh? And do you have any proof? Show me. Show me.
Of course I have proof. It's obvious, isn't it? For crying out loud, you said the same thing to me a couple weeks ago.
Oh? Really? When? You gotta tell me at what hour of what day or what year did I ever say something like that? Where's your proof, huh?
Hey, that's not fair.
Then you're lying, you big crybaby. So you're totally pathetic after all. Crybaby, crybaby, liar, liar.
Why, you, I freaking had enough of you. That's it, you're dead.
I grabbed her hair, yanked hard. So hard she stumbled. I lost my footing as well, and we both tumbled onto the ground.
Ow!
Okay.
That hurt, you big meanie. What's the big idea, huh, Tomo?
Shut the hell up!
We started rolling on the ground, kicking and screaming and clawing at each other. We went on fighting. We never heard the cicada sing in chorus. We never heard the dying sun paint its last moaning protest against the coming of night. If we just stopped, would we have not felt how peaceful and empty the day had become? Would we not have shuddered in the rise of the stars? Because there was no one left else around. We didn't care about any of that. We just kept scuffling, kicking, screaming. If some adult were there watching us, he might have found it charming, quaint, carefree. But if you'd asked us, we'd have told you there was nothing charming or carefree about it. I can see clearly now there was no victor in the cruel things we said and did in the name of play. To survive was all. I wonder, after all these years, if she was the first to see it. Maybe she saw the truth all along, while we were busy name-calling, fighting over dolls, things like that. Because she glided towards us, regally, like a princess gracing the land with her very presence. We didn't notice her approach. She looked up at the sky. It was ablazing orange and pink. She looked down at us, where we were locked on the sand, rolling around and struggling. Then she opened her mouth and said, another voice, oh boy.
Hero? Toika?
We were so startled that we stopped what we were doing and looked up at her. And what we saw took our breaths away. She held out one little soft hand and motioned for us to get up. I sheepishly untangled my hands from Tokoya's hair, and Toika, for her part, let go of my cheeks.
It's getting so late. So, come. Both of you. It's time.
Tokia and I just stared up at her, dumbfounded, so she continued. It's not a white dress. I don't know why they kept on saying white dress, pale, and she looks very blue. So she continued.
It's going to get dark before long, so please.
She gave us a smile. I don't know what effect it had on Toika, but I know what it did to me. It made me want to curl up in a ball and cry. There was something so ancient about it, like that of a world-weary traveler who'd been rudely awakened by playing children. For a moment, none of us said a thing. Then, the two of us spoke her name in unison. Matsuri. Only she could have such an effect on us. There was something so wonderfully calming, so adult, about her. But we were blind. We couldn't see it. Toikoi and I. We never understood what there was something about her, that she was absolutely special. That someone should have done something, anything, to protect her. To protect that something within her that made her different from everybody else in that whole wide world. But we were too rough and tumble. Our hands were too weak. So we remained in the dark. So too were we in the dark about the fact that we were each of ours unique. That we were all different from everybody else in the whole wide world. That no one on Earth was a carbon copy of another. That even identical twins were different inside. It would take us a long time to get there. And when we finally did, there would only be two of us left. It was a lifetime ago. We still had notions about good guys and bad guys, comfortable things like that, and it was too easy to see in black and white. We didn't know anything, and we believed in everything. Why, I wonder now. Why could we not see? Were we really so blind? Did our hopes really give us such pride that we thought we could walk through the killing fields of life and not be stained by the experience? For we faded. I need to cough for a second, so give me a moment. Fated to walk alone, each of us trapped in our lockdown, screwed up lives, until we let it all go. A lifetime ago. Most likely. Yeah. Smoke signals 01. When I woke up, I was blind. Well, not really. My eyelids did kind of feel glued shut. I was still tired. I heard the rustling of the cloth to my right, very close to me. Warmth, too. The soft warmth of a woman's body filling up my every pore. It felt so comforting. Almost as if I were a kid again. I don't know where this is going. I blinked once, twice, and finally managed to open my eyes. I could feel my right arm. I couldn't feel my right arm at all. I thought I'd slept on it or something like that. I turned to look and realized that, yeah, there was someone sleeping on it. Great. I hated it when things turned out this way. What was I supposed to do? Much more of this and my arm was going to fall off on its own accord. I wanted to snatch it back, deprive my companion of her pillow, and massage some feeling back into it before it was too late. The problem was, she was still asleep. Now what? I looked down at her. Her eyes were shut, and her face was expressionless, like a saint who had just attained enlightenment, or a zombified corpse. I waited for a moment, then jerked violently to free my arm right from its prison. It swung free, all right, in a swift and painful arc straight into the bedpost. I cursed under my breath, and promptly heard a soft outburst of giggling from my supposedly sleeping companion. Oh, her eyes were closed, all right, but that grin on her face, the way she was shaking, she'd pulled a fast one on me. Toika, I began mildly enough, have you been awake this entire time? Apparently, that just did it. She totally lost it at this point. I hadn't even finished the sentence when the floodgates opened and peals of uncontrollable laughter just burst forth from her lips.
Oh boy! Well, this escalated quickly.
Gotta give it to you, Tomohiro! You're so silly!
Damn it.
You're so easy to read, darling. There. It's all good, Kay?
Easy to read? What do you mean?
Come on, Tomohiro. It doesn't take a freaking rocket scientist to figure you out. You've been making some pretty funny faces for a long time now, and your hand's been trembling this entire time, I swear.
What the hell? Too loud? Okay, turning myself down. What the hell? Not safe for work. Oh god, it's getting. Why? I should have guessed when the visual novel said sex in like the first page of dialogue, but you know, whatever. At least it's censored. Kinda.
Oh, honey, not hell, not heaven. Your fault, you know. You were drunk, and you forced me to use your arm as a pillow.
Look who's talking, if memory serves, and it does. You forced me, and since I'm a nice guy, I'll let you go ahead.
Oh, really? When? You gotta tell me of what hour, of what day, or what year did I ever say something like that? I'm sorry, I'm just joking. Thanks for lending me a hand. Literally.
Toika got out of bed, naked, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Well, to be fair, that is actually natural. But anyways, Her slender, almost boyish form glistened in the morning sun. Her small where did I walk? Yeah, okay. I'm trying to hold it in. Okay. I'm gonna say, while Toika herself looked almost radiant in the fine warmth of the day, the room around her was anything but. In fact, it was the disaster zone. There was filth and squalor wherever I looked. Trash on the floors, stains on the ceiling that had probably been there for decades, and spidery cracks all over the walls. There were yellowed scraps of tape in random places left over from posters and calendars from the previous inhabitants had put up, no doubt. Toika stretched slowly and then started to put on some clothes. I just sat there and watched her.
Hey!
She said, blushing.
Will you stop peeping, please? Quit embarrassing me like that.
Say what? I managed in surprise. She made a face.
Just do what I say, okay? Come on, be a good boy and look the other way.
I hate to break this to you, but you worry about the strangest things, I said with a sigh. And look, I spent the entire night fucking your brains out. Just in case you don't remember. There isn't much to be embarrassed about at this point. Did I really just say that? Okay. See, that was just the thing. It wasn't like yesterday night was the first time we'd had sex either. We'd been seeing each other for quite some time, and obviously she had no problem prancing in front of me naked early in the morning, just as she demonstrated so gloriously just a few seconds ago. So why was she, getting hung up on this, of all things? Women. I'm just kidding. She didn't say anything, so I continued. If you're really so worried about that, why don't you just wrap yourself in a towel or something?
Screw that, silly,
She replied.
You really think that'll help matters? Of course not. And besides, I'm willing to bet you're getting a hard-on just thinking about it. Sorry, not giving you the pleasure. Maybe some other morning.
Oh boy. What? This isn't what I thought this was going to be when I saw the title screen. I can say it for honest. No, that's not what I had in mind.
I don't care what you had in mind, okay, Tomohiro? Just look the other way!
The stubborn way she was arguing with me this morning really brought something to life inside of me. Something ugly and mean-spirited, and something I couldn't resist. So I made plans. Fine, have it your way, I began. I guess I have no choice.
That's right. Now be a good boy for just a bit, okay?
She replied. She gave me a smile and then turned away from me. I averted my eyes, all right, but I also reached out with both my hands. Oh, God. If there's going to probably be a picture, and I'm going to be like, oh, really? And with the awkward dialogue I'm reading. You know, I think the people in the house have just accepted I yell out things like that sometimes. Because someone was in the kitchen at the part where I was yelling out,
Giving you a hard-on!
I know they know me, but it's just, if you think about it like that, it's like... Anyways, though, I was gonna say, let's see where this is going. I don't have a good feeling, but... And I took a hold of the towel that Toika had hastily wrapped around herself. I bit back a sadistic laugh. I'm just kidding, not like that. You know, the kind common to dirty old men and psychopathic serial murderers, and pulled. The towel slid right off her body. Even from behind, I could see the surprise ripple through Toika's face and her breast. Good. I feel so creepy just reading this. She was so shocked that for a moment she stood stock still. See, I jeered, isn't that so much more comfortable? No point in wrapping yourself so tight. You'll find it hard to breathe. She didn't say a word in reply. So I said, "Oh, come on. You brought this on yourself."
You...
She managed.
perverted, filthy...
What's the matter? I stammered.
That's it! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Yeah, Tomohiro, you stupid fucking moron! Oh boy!
Just kidding. Whoa! Toika whirled and pushed me with all the strength she had. I lost my balance. I stumbled into a bedpost, hard, and fell to the ground shoulder first, even harder. There was a horrible crunching sound. At first I wasn't sure if it was the floor or my skull. Empty takeout containers and stray sheets of paper went flying everywhere. My head bounced into a half-filled beer can, causing the thin metal to creak and crumble. Ow, not fair, I moaned. I was face down on the ground by now. I sounded pitiful. I'm pretty sure I looked even more pitiful. Everything happened so fast, nothing really seemed real. Except for the fact that it hurt like hell.
What's not fair, freaking idiot?
She raged.
Obviously, it's all your fault. All your fault, all your fault.
Fair enough. Ow. Well, yeah, fine. Sorry about that. I managed. I got up, rubbing my injured shoulder. I made it to the bed and sat down with a bit of effort. She sought me a cross look, but then when she spoke again, most of the fire was gone.
Apology not accepted, silly.
Oh god, coughing. That's what she said. She started coughing. Yai. Fun times. What the?
What the hell's wrong with you anyway? When I ask you not to do something, you always end up doing this.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. Well, I replied. I had no idea that you were going to retaliate like that. She shouted,
Oh, you're impossible. You know that? You don't understand. You don't understand anything.
Don't understand. Huh? I muttered.
Well, fair enough.
Fair enough, I continued. Maybe you're right. She just stared at me, completely caught off guard by this. So I shrugged and said, No, never mind. This time around, I really turned away. I heard the rustling of clothing being put on. Under any other circumstance, it would have been a sensual sound. Why do you have to describe it? Why do you have to describe it? Okay. Panties sliding slowly up her smooth thighs, a bra being fastened around her soft breast, but right now my head hurt too much for me to care. She was all done before long anyhow. Alright. Toho let out a long sigh. There was something awfully sad about the lonesome sound. Maybe it was unconscious, or maybe she was doing it for the dramatic effect. I didn't care either way. I just lay on the bed, my arms folded behind my head. Alright, I'm reading what you guys are saying. So, Toho, what are you guys talking about Toho? But I was gonna say... yes. What? Avalon, if you say yes, Ryan. Yes, very good. Keep reading the erotic text. What? You said it, Ryan. I know I said it. Smoker 2. Honk honk. Oh, well, thank you for the heavy breathing there. I was gonna say, Toika started looking around for cigarettes. She started humming a little tune to herself. It was as if I wasn't even there anymore. Then she said softly,
Men are so wonderful. I feel so safe when you're around. I can sleep even without my meds.
Meds, sex. It's all the same if you ask me. What? What? No. Hey, you know, taking my medicine's about the same as having sex. It's all the same. Meds equal sex. You know. Okay. Alright, onward. She was so wrapped up in her search for her smokes that she didn't say anything for a long time. When she finally spoke again, it was hesitant.
Well, maybe you're right, but no, actually, you're totally right. Pretty screwed up if you ask me. Or maybe it's my viewpoint that's screwed up. I want to believe in something better.
Something better, you say?
Meds equals addiction, sure, but sex equals love.
What? I managed before bursting in laughter. You can't possibly believe that! What is this? Some kind of bad joke? Love! Seriously, man.
Hey, stop laughing, will ya?
She said
Hey, stop laughing, will ya?
She said softly.
I'm being serious here.
I know you're being serious! That's why I'm laughing so hard! I mean, come on! Stop being such an idiot! She didn't get angry. She didn't get sad either. She just looked straight at me, a vague smile on her face. These characters are very unlikable so far. I agree with you. Vague and awkward, and awfully fragile.
I guess so. I guess so.
She whispered. This wasn't like her at all. There was something totally off about this entire conversation. It couldn't be that, maybe she likes me. Maybe that's why she's having sex with me and telling me sex means love. Couldn't be. Gotta laugh at the idea of true love. And suddenly her face is closer. Hey! Let's see, I think this is her talking.
Hey, you coming to school today? No way, it's Friday. Going to work then?
They're still in school. Suddenly her face was centimeters separated from mine. Well, let's see, I replied. Yeah, I guess it's ESAK, or ESAC for me.
So, you won't be home this evening? Boring!
A cold expression filled her face as she turned away. ESAC, a popular nightclub that did just about everything, from indies to folk to trip-hop to underground. I worked events from beginning to end, from opening up to evening, drinks to selling snacks to closing up. I run a club? Well, that's an interesting way, so... Alright. Anyways, though, you didn't usually think a high schooler like me would work in a place like that, but I did. Suited me fine. They are in high school. Oh boy. Oh boy. So now you all can feel like pedophiles because of that whole scene at the beginning of the game and realize how morally wrong you are now. Now let's sit here and think about our lives for a bit. But I did. I've been working there for a year already, so... And I turned to her and asked. A flicker of light sprang from a cheap lighter. Toika lit a cigarette stub, already heavily used given how short it was and how crumpled it was past the filter, and put it in her mouth. Used cigarettes? Sounds like fun. So obviously, this girl here is the ideal high schooler. Sex, drugs, and cigarettes. Yay.
Yuck! This thing sucks!
She complained after a long drag. Hazy smoke floated through the dusty air. And... I asked again.
And what?
She asked in reply. I'm going to ESAC. What are you going to do? I think it's pronounced ESAC, but whatever. For someone complaining mightily about how bad the cigarette was, Toika seemed to be relishing it an awful lot. She took another drag before answering me.
Me?
She mused.
Let's see, what should I do?
She gave her shoulder-length hair a light flick. A half-annoying expression rose to her face. Yeah, okay, you're going to work, aren't you? Oh boy. I don't even want to know why you put quotation marks around work. I really don't want to know why you put quotation marks around work. Oh no. Okay.
Maybe.
She replied half-heartedly. I shrugged. Oh, get off it, will ya? I know you're flat broke right now. It's pretty obvious what you're going to do. No.
And how's that different from the usual, huh?
She posted.
I've been flat broke since the day I was born. Besides, money's a little like water. When it rains, it pours. You cup your hand to catch it and it just slips right out. Wasted!
I don't care about any of that. Don't want to hear it, I said, shooting her a blatant full-skate glare. I mean, obviously she's a teacher. What are you guys thinking, a prostitute? I knew I had no right. It wasn't as if my heart was pure and my reactions squeaky clean. But Toika, as innocent as she looked, she went to work on men she didn't know, and returned home with handfuls of cash. Of course. Okay, so let's put that on her resume. She likes sex, she likes drugs, she likes cigarettes, she likes being a stripper. Hey guys, thanks for picking this visual novel. I just want to let you all know when we were voting between the visual novels, you guys chose the right one. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. So much for pure hearts or squeaky clean actions. Oh, she's probably... Kazuki, I just had to say... I was gonna say...
I see how it is.
Toiko noted, nodding to herself. I looked up only to find that her eyes, clear and deep as a lake in winter, were following me. Shadowing my every move, observing my every facial expression. Apparently she'd found something, but what had she found? Yeah, that's how it is. I shot back lamely. I know. You're right, Kitsune. A plot twist. They didn't say anything. They said that she went with men and she did her quotations work and came back with lots of money. She could be an assassin. I'm just alright, my microphone with that. Yeah, obviously an assassin. What were you guys thinking about? No, I'm just kidding, but... Anyways, though, I had no idea what she saw in me just then. Screw that. I had no idea what she saw in me, period. I didn't even know myself inside. So whatever she'd seen, it was all just smoke and mirrors, fake smoke signals reflected on my face and interpreted using an incomplete cipher key. You couldn't even call this stretching the truth. It was way past that. This was just Toiko making things up as she went to please herself. Because first of all, I didn't even know myself inside. You just said that. It's 2 paragraphs above you. I didn't even know myself inside. And I say, because first of all, I didn't even know myself inside. All over the place. All over the place. I didn't know why I disapproved so much of her line of work. Was it out of some misguided sense of affection? Some pretense of love? Because societal rules said that nice girls shouldn't do such things? Or was it for some other totally different reason? I didn't even know myself inside. Sorry, the 3rd time you've said that. Toiko stretched and said,
You know, that's a nice day out. It's 10 already, can you believe it? Gotta rise and shine, get moving.
Dirty splinters of sunshine filtered in from the tiny window on the wall The only window in the entire apartment. The air was so dusty that the light itself seemed trapped with nowhere to run. I replied, doesn't your work take place at night?
Ha! It isn't always that way.
She shot back.
Think about it. Lots of folks work night shifts. Stuff like that. Lots of people want to hold the streets in broad daylight, looking for a good time. Besides, it's not always dark as mine inside a love hotel. No problem.
Hey! You guys are gonna hear me doing funny voices, by the way. Oh, no problem? Okay. I know the music's been on loop for I don't even know how long, so it's just going on and on. So I was gonna say, I see, I replied sarcastically. I really couldn't accept anything she was saying at this moment. Yeah, she's going off to work, apparently. That sounds joyous. And she probably saw the sarcasm written all over my face. But she ignored this. She crushed the cigarette she'd been so greedily inhaling up until that moment ago, reached up for the remote and flipped on the TV. An unpleasant buzz filled the room as the old CRT sprang to its curious electronic life. Okay. I'm gonna say, there was some breaking news reporting on screen now. An airplane crash.
An airplane crash, huh?
Toiko murmured. Looks like it, I murmured back. Some airliner had overrun the airstrap while it was landing, apparently. The landing gear was so damaged that the plane became unstable. It went out of control, crashed, and its superstructure disintegrated. There was a fire. Rescue efforts were now underway.
Hey,
Toika suddenly spoke up, her eyes still glued to the TV screen.
I just remembered something.
After a short pause, she continued.
Let me see, wasn't there a song or something? You know, a popular one that talked about just this kind of thing, airplane crash.
What? I shot back, a little annoyed. What are you talking about? A song about an airplane crash? Who cares?
Yeah, I remember now.
She went on, totally ignoring my snide remark.
See, usually when something like this happens, the news reporter always makes a big to-do about, oh, there was a Japanese people aboard, there were famous people aboard, stuff like that, right?
Right, and so? I replied, now totally mystified as to where she was taking this. But she didn't seem to care how lost I was. She just went on.
So, yeah, there was this one song. It talks about how weird it is to focus on stuff like that.
What? Now I was even more lost than ever. Who cares where the passengers come? Oh wait, I think this is her talking.
Who cares where the passengers come from or how famous they are? They're all people. They've got all people to love, things to do. When a plane crashes or when something else bad happens, people suffer and die. We're all in this together. That's what the song was about, don't you remember?
So she just chattered on, her eyes as glued as ever to that TV. But the words she was speaking, where did they come from? From her heart? From the red flames that flickered and surged on screen? Or from some place to which I was blind all along? I don't know.
You know, when we first heard the song, we were both little kids. I had no idea what it was about. I even thought it was kind of dumb. Heck, I still thought it was kind of dumb up until a bit ago. I wonder now, though, what was the guy who wrote the song thinking? Was it something like this? Or was he just trying to put up an outlawed image just so he could look cool?
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I finally broke in. And in fact, I don't even know which song you're talking about.
What? Really? You don't remember?
She asked, startled. Really? And that was a lie. It wasn't as if I didn't remember, I just didn't want to. And Toika didn't see how very sour my mood had become. Clearly, she was adrift in her own world.
Anyway, yeah, there was a song like that.
She went on. Hello, non-committable. Trust me, Alice, it is best if you stop asking that right now. I'd rather the chat not go in that direction, so... I got the distinct feeling that if I said much more, this would just go on, and I'd have to sit here listening. No way. Needed this conversation to end. Now. Toika, on the other hand, looked like she needs just the opposite.
But, maybe I'm the same way.
What is it now? I sighed, starting to come to the end of my patience.
Maybe I'm the one who's putting up an outlawn image just so I can look cool.
She chattered on. Heh, I snorted. Outlaw image, huh? That what you want? She considered this for a moment, then...
Whether I want it or not, don't it kind of seem that way?
Alright. I shook my head slowly. Outlaw. Talk about a word from a bygone age. It belonged in the same category as phrases like gnarly and totally tubular. In other words, best forgotten. I had no idea if she knew that, and she was using the word with pointed irony, or if she was completely oblivious and inadvertently showing how uncool she'd become. I just didn't know, but it didn't matter either. Toika was too harmless a girl to style herself an outlaw or anything like that. In any case, she'd lost interest in the news program a few seconds later. I got up out of bed and looked down at the beeping alarm clock. Not sleeping, beeping. 10:30 a.m. The entire world had woken up and started going about its business hours ago, and yet here I was. Sitting around... Oh, yep, it's gonna get awkward again. Alright, onward with your words, novel. As I was gonna say, sitting around butt naked with my girl and childhood friend in a crumbling apartment. Today was Friday. I looked up the calendar with much the same attitude that I looked at the clock. July. This Saturday was the 19th, which made today the 18th. Almost time for summer vacation to start. I'm going home, I grunted. I picked up my underwear, shirt, and pants from the floor and put them on in short order. Now she's going on with that. Well, you guys chose the best of all of the potential picks for this one, obviously.
Oh, Tay.
Toika called back brightly.
I guess I might go to school then or something.
Huh? Are you crazy? I sputtered. Toika burst out laughing.
That was a joke, you nitwit. You're so thick-headed sometimes, Tomohiro.
Whatever, man, I muttered with a shrug. I reached out with one hand and gently grasped at Toika's hair. So odd. Our lives were going down the gutter day by day. What right had her hair to stay so soft and beautiful? What right had I to do this? Her locks whispered between my fingers and fell back in place. That was all. Their warmth stayed with me for longer. And Toika just stood there, looking at me without a word, letting me do whatever I wanted her, begging me to do whatever I wanted her. Seriously, I think we might want to switch novels soon. It's just a guess on my side of things. Her eyes were huge and glistening. There was something in them, like a smile or a memory or something indelibly sweet, that only showed itself during times like these. Not even during sex, especially not during sex. Such a mystery. No, it was only when I was petting her hair like this, as if she were on an obedient cat or something, that she stood still and smiled at me. As if she were the luckiest girl in the world. And suddenly new art. Alright.
Have a good day at work, you hear?
Toika said softly, or I guess quieter, not like that.
Have a good day at work, you hear?
Toika said softly. I will, and... I paused here, unsure of what I could say next. You... take care of yourself.
Gotcha.
She grinned. I waved goodbye to my unemployed girl there and walked out. The cheap wood door creaked and scraped in protest. How long is this scene? I'm wondering that right now, so... Finally, a scene change. You think that would come eventually, right, guys? Well, I see you guys seem to agree with that. The sun was blazing, its rays so strong that it hurt. I walked along. It was time to go home. The day's radiance filtered through the canopy of oak tree leaves overhead, imbuing everything with its warmth. The whole day seemed ready to melt away in the light. Though how long has this one song been on loop? I don't know how many times I've heard this one song. It's just da 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 da. Whatever. Tomohiro, you crybaby. Yes, there was the dream I had in the past, as laying naked next to Toyika. That was a lifetime ago. I thought about it for a moment. Before it, too, melted away into the light. Finally, the song changed. How long was that going on for? It's this song? Really? This song haunts me, I swear to God. July 19th, Friday. A weekday. If it was the last Friday before summer vacation. In other words, a high school student like me should have been in class right now, not walking the streets of the city. Oh, it wasn't as if I hated high school or anything. Quite the contrary. I almost wished I could be like those kids who stuck with it all the way. But only almost. To be honest, I couldn't see myself learning anything of value from an intuition like that, so... I walked through familiar streets. The quickest way to get home from here was to cut through the shopping district. It was an area I usually avoided. I had little tolerance for crowds, and even less tolerance for gross human stupidity, both of which were in ample supply there. However, today I had my MP3 player, so I just turned up the volume. No problem. A disgustingly familiar pop song came blaring through my headphones, but whatever. Better that than some chatter of the consumerite zombies who clog the intersections with the stench of idiocy. I felt my stomach rumbling. Not really a surprise. I hadn't eaten anything at all so far today. Maybe I ought to grab some lunch or something, I said to myself. Well, that refrigerator in my place was completely empty, and I was getting awfully tired of convenience store fare, so maybe it was time to eat out. I checked my pocket for my wallet. Yes, it was there, and then turned on to a relatively deserted side street. There was this little restaurant around these parts that I frequented when I couldn't take the monotony of a convenience store food anymore. It was a rare treat. I was walking around minding my own business when I heard what sounded like an argument coming from the alleyway. I should have just kept moving along, but instead I killed the volume on my MP3 player. And I heard everything. Oh boy. Come on, girlie. Let's go have some fun together. What'd you say? Let's see what she says. I can't. My dog. I don't know what voice to give her. I don't care at this point. Just tie them up to the telephone pole. He'll be just fine. I'm telling you, babe, there's this nice coffee shop down that ways. I'm sorry. No, I can't. God damn it. What does a guy have to do to get some peace and quiet around here? I mean, here I was, minding my own business, traveling down side streets so I could avoid human contact. And now, this. There really wasn't much of another way to that restaurant either. I was going to have to walk right past them. But whatever. This had nothing to do with me. It was high time to invoke the not my problem cloaking field and sweep right by. If I could manage it. Cool, right. I think that is him. Come on, Missy. Don't you give me that. You're coming with me, yeah? Well, fortunately for me, the guy in the Ohola shirt didn't notice that I was there. Probably too busy putting his lousy moves on his victim there. I glanced over in their general direction and froze. Then I let out a soft sigh. Alright, so much for the restaurant. If I took one more step, I was going to get involved in this mess, and while having to sell for convenience store fare sucked, it sucked a lot less than the alternative here. Right, time to turn around and walk the other way. So I started doing just that, but not before whispering a few choice curses under my breath. The girl looked straight at me, begging me with her eyes to help her. I completely ignored her. Alright, let's go, girlie. Let's go. This will be great.
But, sir, I need to walk my dog, so...
What the hell is the matter now, babe? And they're doing the whole thing.
I need to walk my dog, so I'm sorry.
That's so. I had a finger on my MP3 player's play button. I was about to flick it on when I heard a aloha sigh. And then a thick, wet, crunching sound. The dog let out one long howl of pain and fear, and the girl let out a similar scream. This was too much even for me. I had to turn and look. What I saw stunned me. A dachshund, breathing heavily, frothing at the mouth, otherwise motionless on the ground. And a pretty girl around my age, standing stock still, trembling faintly, the reality of her present situation dawning on her. It was clear to see. Aloha had kicked the dog with all his might. Walking your fucking dog. Well, how'd you like it now? Now that he's dead, you gonna come with me or not?
Oh, dear God, no.
I had no idea what the hell she was thinking, walking through these parts in the first place. Lots of dangerous sorts around. The city wasn't a particularly safe place, even on the best of days. No place for a girl like her. Well, what are you gonna do now, bitch?
But please, I beg you, please stop.
Then you're coming with me. And then she goes with the eek thing. That's magical. And then this is gonna get interesting. Aloha took a long step towards the girl. Now she was cornered. And then she starts yelling, "Help! Someone help!" And then was just gonna guess. What a pitiful voice. And you know what made it more pitiful? That somebody was me. What the hell? I guess I'm going to the restaurant after all, I muttered. I made my way towards Ahola and the girl without making a sound. Now, if only you had done something earlier. Wouldn't have that made things better, right? Right. That's right, you stupid fucking cunt. There's no one around. No knight in shining armor is gonna come sweep you off your feet this time. Help! What did he just call her? Stupid fucking cunt. How ironic. Well, okay, maybe, just maybe, Ahola didn't have a cunt, but he was pretty fucking stupid. He didn't even know that I was there. This was like shooting fish in a barrel. One hit and it would be lights out for him. All too easy. He'd never see it coming. And 3, 2, 1, go! Die. Ugh! One vicious jump kick was all it took. He fell to the asphalt hard, and now it was his head making a thick, wet, crunching sound on the pavement. Mission accomplished. He wasn't going to be getting up for a bit. Served him right. Oh. The girl breathed as I landed, shook my head, and put my headphones back on. You know, I remarked to her casually, you probably ought to take him to a hospital soon. Huh? She looked back at me like a deer caught in headlights. Your dog, not that idiot.
Oh, you saved me. Thank you so very much,
she managed, her breath coming in huge gasps of relief. Indeed, nada. Now I'm off to grab something to eat. See you around, kid, I replied with a wave. The girl just stood there. I shrugged and was about to leave myself when Aloha started showing signs of life. God damn it! Who the hell? He yelled. I probably should have stomped on his head and sent him back to dreamland before he got up, but there was something so wild about that shout that I struck a ready fighting pose instead. And waited. You fucking asshole! You think you're gonna waltz in here and be some dumbass hero, huh? Under any other circumstance, I would have burst out laughing. This was ridiculous. Besides, now I get my first good look at Aloha's face. It was a pitiful sight. Blood everywhere, bruises. I mean, his face looked half caved in from the kick I gave him. But that wasn't what made my hair stand up on end. It was the look in his eyes and the menace in his voice. He looked drunk, or otherwise intoxicated, and in a murderous rage. Something wasn't quite right about this. This guy was dangerous. To call what I was feeling fear wasn't really accurate. It was more like the weird sinking in the pit of the stomach when you walk into your house and you know there's something lurking in the shadows. So I got my guard up, and Aloha drew ever nearer. The punch came almost from out of nowhere. Given the way he was stumbling and coordinated, there was no way he should have been able to attack with such power or accuracy.
I'm gonna kill you, tough guy.
Oh wait. Oh, you can scroll through this. Oh, I didn't know.
I'm gonna kill you, tough guy.
He screamed. Maybe I was taken by surprise. Maybe I wasn't in my usual shape. Whatever it was, my footwork wasn't quite good enough. Aloha's fist crunched into my left side of my head. My vision wavered. I tasted blood in my mouth. My instincts came alive. I jumped back to make sure he couldn't continue his assault. Ow, that hurt. I spat. Now everything's gonna taste strange. You'll pay for this. The pain was keeping me in sharp focus. Man, how long had it been since I'd last done this? Maybe a year. I calmed my breathing down and cleared my mind. Yeah, this was gonna be fun. Die! Aloha yelled again. Man, talked about a limited vocabulary. And even more limited fighting ability. Aloha just rushed on, charging me. I sidestepped with a complete ease and let loose a victim left jab to the abdomen. Ugh! He moaned, stopping in his tracks. Before he could even react, I brought my right fist around. It crashed into his head with a satisfying crunch. And Aloha went down yet again. He had the grace to stay down for the count this time around. Like Punch Fight, or Punch Out Punch Fight. Too bad for him. He'd obviously gotten a lot more than he bargained for. Not to say he was any ordinary hood, but, well, too bad he didn't have the 6 hard years of karate that I did. Too bad that I didn't feel like losing today. Too bad it had been so long since I put these karate skills to use. Too bad that I really had no inclination to continue developing them. All sorts of regrets. See? Everything turned out for the worst every single damn time I stuck my nose in something I shouldn't. The girl looked like she was about to faint. She managed. Thank you so much. No problem, I said, shrugging. She continued on as if she hadn't heard me. You saved my life. I don't know what else to say, but... Look, I snapped, now a little annoyed. Just take that damn dog to the vet, okay? Yes, sir, she mumbled back. I walked away. I didn't give a girl a second look. I opened the door to my apartment. No need for a key. Yeah, I know, in this world of madmen and thieves, it was always a good idea to make sure your door was locked, but I had nothing that anyone would want to steal. I'd have welcomed if someone had stolen what little I had, at least so I thought. Everything about this place was pretty untouched. The door slid smoothly open without so much as a creak. The smell of new wooden flooring greeted my nostrils. So, she's here, I said to myself. I noticed a very familiar-looking pair of shoes sitting there as I took my well-worn sneakers off. And when I strained my ears, there was someone else here, all right. And not just any someone. Someone I'd known for a lifetime. I threw my sneakers in the corner, walked to the kitchen, and opened the door. And when I saw her sitting there, I called out to her softly. Hey there, Matsuri. Hey, it's her. I thought you said this. I thought something terrible had happened to her. Facepalm, facepalm. I guess she's still alive. Or so whatever. Whatever. She looks different, but it's still her. She has the same color hair. She's, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah, she's not a dress. Not like a dress grew up with her or something like that. Probably not safe for work. Seeing coming up ahead if I had to guess. Let's see, what voice to give her? Good day. I don't know what voice to give her because I just gave that voice to the other character because I thought she was dead. I honestly thought this character was dead. I think you guys thought that too. Okay, let's do this thing. I guess I'll just give her the light voice. If the character with the dog comes back, I'll give her a different voice. Good day to you too, she said as she stood. I let myself in, as you can see. Not British, it's not British, it's something else. I apologize for the intrusion. Then she bowed to me with a great grace and formality. Weird. Not something you expected out of someone you'd known since you were a kid. Her white school uniform, spotless as usual, rustled gently as she sat back down. She put down the paperback she had been reading to kill time and adjusted her glasses briefly. The book dropped like a splotchy shadow in the pristine white of her skirt. Here's my response. It's not like I mind anyhow, I muttered in response. From my vantage point, I could see that the title of the book was... There was a key on the table where she was sitting. I'd given that to her when I first moved in. There usually isn't much that two childhood friends don't know about each other, but this one, there wasn't much that I did know about her. Here's what I did know. She had beautiful long hair as black as night, though it looks blue in the artwork, totally untouched by color or bleach. It looks blue! And partially, that was a foregone conclusion. Her private school had pretty strict rules and regulations in that regard. But only partially. The way her hair shone and glistened in the sunlight streaming through the windows, he knew, her hair didn't get this way because of some stupid regulation or some slovenly lack of care. No, she took special care to make it this way. I know it's blue. Turquoise, not black. Okay. Whatever. Whenever she turned her gaze on you, you felt flooded with her calm and her intelligence. Her little lips were always slightly pursed, as if they'd snapped shut if she ever thought about saying something stupid, which of course she never did. The air about her was so sharp it could cut you. Awfully late, are we not? She started, but then she noticed the welt on my face and muttered, Oh dear, what happened to you? Did you get into a fight again? Her voice was disinterested, monotone, as always. Yeah, there really wasn't much that I knew about her after all. I muttered back, yeah, something like that. On the other hand, the way Matsuri was looking up at me right now, I was struck with the conviction that she could peer right into my soul. That gaze of hers, sometimes I wonder if she saw through everything the way she saw through me. It's pretty nice out, you know, I said lamely. Yes, I know, she replied in the same monotone. I had much the same thought when I was walking here. In response, I said, And when was that? When you got here, that is? Oh, during school hours, she replied dryly. I muttered. That's just lovely. I opened the refrigerator and took out the one thing in it, a bottle of Oolong tea. Let's see, I muttered. Let's see, what are you guys talking about? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Still before the explanation date. Good. Still before the expiration date. Good. Explanation date. I filled 2 little cups with the tea, brought them to the table, and set one of them before Matsuri. She nodded with a courteous, "Thank you very much for my troubles." She lifted her glasses off the table, leaving a cold ring of condensation in the fine film of dust that seemed to coat everything. She stared at this phenomenon for what seemed like a long time. Finally, as if the moisture or the dust had choked up some secret to her, she nodded. Then she stood and started walking around the apartment again. A little smile crept across her face. "I see," she muttered. "Yes, I see, I see." Huh? I managed. Seriously, huh? I don't get what he's trying to talk about right now at all, so... I had no idea what it was that she was seeing now, but whatever it was, she seemed awfully self-satisfied about it. "You really have no intention of living here, is that not correct?" she continued with the same maddening smile. "Huh?" I replied, choosing my words with care. "Well, yeah, I'm usually someplace else, so naturally." "If that's so," she sat back coolly as she returned to her chair and sat down. That someplace else happened to be Toika's apartment, of course. Matsura knew that as well as I did, but she just kept pretending not to know, wearing a stranger's face and mouthing a stranger's words. "You really have a problem with this," she murmured, gesturing at the empty apartment. "A problem?" I shrugged in response. "Come now," she snorted softly. "Do not be dense. A problem with being indebted to someone else, obviously." I couldn't say anything for a second. She'd hit the bullseye all right. The reason I never stayed in this place for too long, the reason why I never settled down, was just that simple. I never asked for this.
I didn't ask for this.
It cost me no end of pain to be handed money and a place to live by these people who didn't have a single drop of blood in common with me. There were an unfortunate man and woman unable to have any kids of their own, and I, a sickly child born of the frenzied coupling of 2 animals who hardly knew themselves, let alone each other. That pretty much summed up the relationship that existed between me and my adoptive parents. One side with too much money, and therefore weak. The other with too little money, and therefore weak. Both sides empty, and seeking to fill some fundamental hole in their own natures with each other. A consistent give and take. Some made it work. Too bad we couldn't. Too bad we remained square pegs with round holes. Now, once my parents had taken responsibility for me, they couldn't readily stop, and so they raised me as one of their own, or at least they tried. They failed. It hurt. And so I ran, as hard as my legs would let me, from their empty care. I changed my surname back to the one I had at birth, the disgraced call sound of a disgraced family, branded myself with it. These days, I scraped by it, making enough money to live on even as I attended or didn't attend high school. As for this apartment, more or less I only used it as a meeting place when my foster parents wanted to come visit me. Hell, it was theirs to begin with anyhow. I only came around here once a week just to clean this place up. The walls were white and the flooring was brand new, a cold, empty environment with no trace of human life or emotional attachment to it. "Well," I finally said, "should I even ask?" Matsura looked completely taken by surprise by my question. Alright, I don't want spoilers, but I'm not going to be playing this for much longer. After a second, she replied, "Whatever about?" "The reason you skipped school and come here, obviously," I snorted. She said softly, "Let me think about that." And to my surprise, she did seem lost in thought. Now, as I said before, I didn't know much about her, but I did know that she didn't just come around this place for no reason at all. especially given that there was no guarantee I'd ever show up at any given time. Warning perhaps, or some advice, she faltered here before going on. No, I suppose it was to ask a question. What question? I asked. She shot me an odd look before muttering, Don't you already know? Everyone in the chat is yelling at me to stop this game. Apparently people looked up what this game was about and they tell me that there's some really terrible scenes coming up in this game. I don't know. I'm like, huh? I don't know what you guys are talking about. They're all yelling at me to stop. Apparently something's right around the corner. So, bad scene, bad scene. People are yelling, bad scene, bad scene. What the hell are you talking about? I can't read your mind just in case you haven't noticed. I shot back a wry smile coming unbidden to my face. Alright. We're probably about to quit. Is there a way to save this game? But Masura just went on, her expression completely blank. Meds. A single word, 4 letters long. A piece of street slang completely unlikely to fall from the little lips of a well-bred young lady like her. Meds, I said lamely, and yes, you guys are right earlier. Meds equals sex. That's what they said earlier, apparently. Yes, meds, she resorted with a hint of exasperation. Drugs, obviously. I matched an uh-huh before completely falling silent. This wasn't possible. Why would someone like her, an elegant young princess from a rich family who of her own free will attend one of the top private all-girl academies in the entire country, get herself involved in that? Everything about her was the very freaking picture of smooth sailing. And sure, in some people, the waves hid nightmares so dark that no amount of light could illuminate the depths of the waters. But not Matsuri. She wasn't like that. She lived her life on her own terms. She chose to stay with her family. She chose to attend that school. I didn't know much, but I did know this. That there was no way she'd just say, meds, in the same way I'd say it. What are you talking about? I finally managed. Some kind of prescription? She just shot me a blank stare. It wasn't as if I was trying to play the fool. It was that I really was the fool here. So I continued, is something the matter? A cold, a headache, a stomachache, or maybe menstrual cramps? She has shot me yet another blank stare and said nothing. Warning, apparently there's a not safe for work scene coming. We should probably stop now. I'm going to press escape and see what happens. I'm going to save my game right here. Let's do this. Smoke signals. We're still in chapter 1. How freaking... On. Oh boy, oh boy. Her eyes, dark wells devoid of emotion or any color, bored into me. I really felt like I was being sliced right through. It was as if I wasn't even there. She was looking right through me, past me, maybe at some interesting speck on the wall. And I began to feel pathologically, hysterically afraid of her company. Come on, I almost pleaded. What's the matter? Perhaps you know better than I, she answered with a shrug. In all the time I'd known her, this had never changed. I'd never seen any flicker of expression or life in that gaze of hers. I'd never seen a smile ever fill her eyes with joy. Okay, I was about to move it just in case. It's like, oh boy, seems like it's coming. Because everyone's in the chat's kind of freaking out, telling me to stop. Oh boy. She held me captive with her icy gaze for a few seconds more before releasing me with a sigh. And then she muttered, or perhaps you do not. Then something akin to a smile flustered to her face for a second. And what if I do? I resorted after I had recovered. No, you probably have nothing to do with it, she said as if to herself, and that is why she cut herself off here. Which prompted me to, of course, ask, what is why what? I am relieved. Was the only thing I could think to say. Because she didn't look like she was lying. Sorry for worrying you then, I mumbled. Oh no, she replied. My pleasure. I'm supposed to worry about you after all. Well, whatever. In any case, why exactly are you bringing up meds? I asked. I was kind of bothered by that last thing she said, but well, whatever. I had bigger fish to fry. She gave me a distracted look before speaking. It appears that there is a new drug dealer on the scene, a young man about our age, and as ruthless as he is young. What the hell? I exclaimed. And what? You were suspicious? You thought it might be me? Is that it? She replied icily. Unfortunately, that possibility cannot be entirely excluded now, can it? Cold, man. Real cold. I spat back. I should have expected as much out of you. Sorry to disappoint you, but I don't do drugs. Haven't sunk that far, although I'm sure you'd be amused if I did. I'm fine with my alcohol and my tobacco, thank you very much. And for crying out loud, if I start doing drugs, I'd be flat broke in the blink of an eye. But you have an allowance from your parents, do you not? She remarked with something that might have been mistaken for amusement. What did I say? I hissed. She really was cutting to the bone today. I thought about raising my voice for a split second, but decided that I was going to give her more weapons to use against me. I wasn't going to give her more weapons, and so I simply said, that money's not mine to spend. By the time I drained my glass, Matsuri was still half full. Or half empty. You really are a stubborn one, are you not? She replied, the hint of a smile creeping back onto her face. I smiled blandly back and said, So I am, my defining characteristic, eh? Then she dropped a bomb on me. Toyika is addicted, as you well know, to her meds. I was too stunned to manage anything but a weak... Total loss for words, man. I mean, how had Matsuri ever found out about that? Out of everything. I certainly hadn't told Matsuri that Toyika was doing drugs, and I was pretty sure that Toyika herself hadn't either. Fascinating, she murmured. So you really thought you could keep that in the dark. But you know as long as I do, there's no way I could ever not pick up on it, so long as I remain myself. So I see. I muttered back. Lots of muttering going on around here, apparently. She sighed and leaned back in her chair, tilting her head up towards the ceiling. Her hair flustered in the air for a moment before settling once again. In the depths of her eyes, I could see rings of light reflected from the fluorescent lamp overhead. She almost looked not of this world. Toyika is so weak, is she not? She murmured, always needing to be swept up by something, always needing some circumstance to blame. Matsuri wasn't trying to make fun of Toyika. I knew that wasn't her intention. To her, this was a basic recital of facts, cut and dry, incontrovertible. But those facts are so hurtful that they made her intentions next to meaningless. What do you know? I retorted. Even if this was an old friend of mine, I wasn't about to let her talk about my love, if that's indeed what you call someone you have sex with just about every night, that way. What do I know? Matsuri continued unperturbed. Very well, let me tell you. No, I know that everybody walks through this world, making ridiculous excuses for actions that were always best left undone. I know that I hate it when people choose to pervert the good and honest rules the rules they know they ought to obey, all for some personal reason that is neither personal nor reasonable. I know that there are many brands of weakness in this world, and that Toyika's brand is the simplest of all. She just runs away from everything she doesn't want to experience. And when her legs give out, she begs for someone or something to carry her. Oh, look at me, poor me, an orphan all alone in the world. That is what I know. I shot back. You got it all wrong. Toika doesn't make any excuses for the way her life is. She simply lives the way she wants and does so even more independently than I do. Yes, Matsuri cut in curtly, always holding this trump card called "But I'm an Orphan" behind her little back. She shattered the remains of my argument to bits against the monstrous force of her glacial indifference. What was I supposed to say? I didn't know anymore. I felt completely lost. For one thing, I had no idea what kind of game she was playing here. While it was true that she played the part of the Ice Princess well, it wasn't like her to speak so ill of someone else. An old friend of hers at that, like this. That wasn't the Matsuri I knew. More importantly, I just realized something. I'd raised an objection not because I was mad that she was bad-mouthing my girl, but because I felt that if Toika and I were really in love, I was obligated to do so. You know, I started, "Matsuri, do you?" "Yes," she replied crisply. I muttered a "never mind" and snapped my mouth shut. Do you really think you're so strong yourself?" I knew there was no point in finishing my sentence, so I didn't finish it. But I was grasped with sudden conviction that behind all that ice, Matsuri was the weakest of all. I had no proof, but looking at her right now, I knew this to be true. I said, half to myself, "How strange." "What is it?" Matsuri replied. "No," I mumbled, just talking to myself. "Sorry." The fact that the three of us were childhood friends, that's what was so strange. Tomohiro Higuchi, Toiko Ichimura, Matsuria Hikiyami. Now Toika and I were orphans. Not because our parents were dead or because there was some natural disaster or some tear-jerking idiocy like that. No, the truth was so much simpler. Our birth parents didn't want us, so they abandoned us on the streets. Maybe they were still out there, out there happily fucking each other silly and dropping their unwanted brats in gutters everywhere, regular as clockwork, every 9 months. Anyway, that was how Toika and I both ended up spending our early childhoods in an orphanage. But Matsuri was different. She was the only daughter of a very rich family. As sharp as a razor and as elegant as its killing edge, there was a vast chasm in the social order that separated people like us from her. So why in the world would she ever decide to make friends with us? It wasn't as if we'd ever approached her, ever. In fact, it was the other way around. It made no sense. The entire world was a give and take, and we'd never had a single thing to give her. Friends, playmates, companions, childhood friends, best friends. We were all those things, and yet it was as if there was still no real connection between Matsuri and us. Yes, we were friends and playmates and companions and all that, but what did it mean? Nothing. Everything was empty. Oh, now if Matsuri were manipulating us with money, making us do whatever dirty work she wanted with us with the pretext of being friends, that would be one thing. Could even have accepted it, if that were the case. But it wasn't. She didn't stoop to something so trite and commonplace, apparently. If there was no give, there would be no take. Perhaps all that existed of the relationship between me and her was a hollow shell after all. So I said with a sigh, "Tell me." "Yes," she responded. "Why are you here anyway? Why are you involving yourself in a lowlife like me anyway?" I had lost count of the times that I stopped myself just before asking questions like that. Maybe it was because I was afraid of asking. Maybe it was because I was afraid of the answer. All I knew was that I was afraid, so I did not ask. Afraid of what? Afraid of raising the curtains on the final act, maybe? Afraid of bringing this hollow shell of a relationship to its grand finale and curtain call? With a simple "okay," and from here on out, you and I are dead to each other. Complete strangers, understand? Afraid of raising the knife and cutting through the empty bonds that tied us, turning us into two human beings that had no more reason to smile at each other? I didn't know why I was so afraid. So I said again with a sigh, "Tell me." "Yes," she responded again, patiently. The dark pools in her eyes flickered with some unknown emotion as she waited for me to continue. Is it okay for you to be playing hooky like this? Isn't your school crazy strict about a lot of stuff like that?" I finished casually. "Not exactly okay," she replied in her monotone, "but I do not particularly care." The look in her eyes just then really could have frozen water into ice. I shrugged. "Fine, let's change the subject. Where do you hear about this new drug dealer anyhow?" She shrugged in return. "A classmate of mine happens to be one of his customers." "Really?" I resorted. "What need does a crowd of stuck-up princesses have for drugs anyway?" Matsuri smiled dryly at this before saying, "And what separates us from you?" Certainly, we take pains to look all elegant and refined on the outside. But do you think that can hide the fact that on the inside we are all of us dying? Girls tend to be more like each other than not. The same eyes and ears and mouths and breast and menstrual periods. And addictions and rapists and drug dealers. It just happens that some of us pay more for the same thing. That is all." "Ha!" I laughed without much merit. "And do tell me, what is this dealer push?" "I do not know exactly, but my classmates calls it China White, or something like that," Matsuri replied. "China White?" I managed in shock. Why does it have to come to that? Matsuri's eyes bored into me, asked me a question I could not resist. "China White," I started. It's a kind of heroin. A downer, not an upper at all. I'm surprised it's in demand at all in this country. We have enough things to be down about as it is. And on top of that, it's pretty dangerous. Has a really high rate of addiction and withdrawal. Withdrawal's a real bitch. I raised my glass to my lips before I realized that it was empty. I sucked on the ice cube for a bit, spat it back out into the ice cup in the cup. Then I remarked, "I have no idea what that guy is thinking selling something like that to high schoolers." "Could it be that he has ties to organized crime?" Matsuri asked quietly. "Not a bad guess," I answered, "but I'm afraid that's not it. If he were, he wouldn't be selling China White in a city like this. The demand's too low here to make that worthwhile." Then, what was this? Just a grab for money? No, that couldn't be it either. He had to have some other reason to be doing this, and my mood turned decidedly sour, because I had a feeling I knew what it was. There wasn't anything I could do about it anyway. It wasn't as if I had any sway in the criminal underworld, if it existed at all, of this city, and it wasn't as if I knew people in high places anyhow. So my life was in shambles. I was powerless, and I talked to think of myself as some proud lone wolf. In other words, in the end, I too was weak, because I never wanted anyone to come close enough to me to find out just how flawed I was, because the same was true for Toika Matsuri and for every other human being on this miserable planet. Where, I struggled forwards for a second, old friends, aren't we? Matsuri just stared back at me and looked in their eyes unfathomable. So I continued, "Tell me, did you come here today because you thought I was the drug dealer?" "Yes, that was one of the two reasons," she replied with a smile. And I shot back, "What was the other reason?" And in response, she just looked away from me. Oh, why so quiet now?" I ribbed. She kept looking away and murmured, "No particular reason." The other reason, she finally said. "No, it is better that I do not say it. You will just have to wait for the answer, I'm afraid." "The hell, man," I muttered. "A secret, you see," she replied, "and a girl has to have secrets. You will find out sooner or later." Usually when a girl said this, she had a smile on her face, laughter on her tongue. Matsuri had neither. The conversation halted here for a time. I took to looking out the window at the national highway filled with cars and the forested areas that separated me from that road. I wasn't used to seeing any of this. I didn't ask for this. Anyways, we're gonna save there again. Okay. Just gonna say we're gonna probably stop here. I have a bad feeling where this is going, and this game is boring. Anyways, though, see you guys real soon.